Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? I'm so glad you've joined us. Welcome to this special broadcast. My good friend Bob Kudla is here from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, how you doing today?
Yeah, happy New Year, Paul, and happy belated birthday.
Okay, Bob, we're having a little bit of feed. We're still having distortion, but let's hope we got past it. So the stock market's at an all-time high, and there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of folks that are expecting great things this year, yet the government might shut down. Can you help me understand the impact on the markets if that happens?
Yeah, Paul. I mean, right now everything's priced to perfection. The stock market is trading at record multiples of earnings. I think all the good news is out. The bull market's been running for 9 years here, and interest rates and energy prices have been creeping up. And those are the two things people can least afford to have rise on them, because it affects their credit card payments, it affects their home equity lines of credit, their adjustable mortgages, and it affects business costs. And a lot of these companies borrowed money to buy back shares. So those things are pushing up, and the energy prices have been pushing up, and natural gas prices have been pushing up as well because the weather's been so cold. And it's those things are just going to suck any free money away from the American people if the health care already has not. And so, we're really positioned for a shock. And, we've seen this before. So, right now, I know a lot of people, are excited about the market and the economy, but, this has absolutely been centrally planned. They've been pushing, and they did this up to 2008 too, and the same things are breaking in 2018 that happened in 2008. Commercial real estate prices, first time in 10 years that we've had a decrease in commercial real estate. And that's where the problem started last time. The other part was auto loan foreclosures or repossessions. They're now creeping up as well. And so, those things that I look out for, because, the good news we could see in front of us, I worry about the bad news, because it's one thing to get these gains, it's another to keep them. And so that's what we're watching out for over at Trade Genius in terms of, hey, when do we hop off this train?
And when you look at these things, and, again, I went into prayer, as I always do going into a year, and was asking the Lord to give me some revelation on what to expect. And the Lord showed me, he said, look, for the Christians out there, for the body of Christ, anybody that's trusting the Lord, you're going to have extreme favor and blessings upon you. But it doesn't mean that the economy itself is going to flourish. Maybe the individual decisions each person makes. So you have to make good decisions in an ever-changing market. And Bob Kudla is here from TradeGenius.com, TradeGeniusAcademy.com, and he does a great job in helping inform people on how to make the right decisions, especially with their 401k and if they want to get in and out of the market. So let me ask you a question, Bob. Stock market all-time high, 26,115 yesterday. Bitcoin took a bad run, but I've seen today it's up 1,000 points, back up at 11,700. So how does Bitcoin go down while the stock market go up? And is Bitcoin now trading on the big board? Has that got anything to do with this?
Yeah. So, cryptocurrencies are an asset class of themselves. And so what happened was, about November, the price of Bitcoin was about where it is today. And they announced that they're going to put Bitcoin out on the futures market. So the people that want to participate in the futures market had to buy Bitcoin. So they ran it up from 11,000 to 20,000. And then once that news happened, it's called sell the news event. And a lot of these people that trade the futures like to short the futures. That means sell against it. And that pushed the price down. And yesterday, if you notice, the price hit like 9,400.
Right.
And everybody's saying the world was ending. And we're at, because we trade futures for a living and we trade cryptocurrencies, for 7 years now, is that we just said, okay, this happens every January with Bitcoin, the Chinese New Year, and now the futures markets were what they call rolling over to a new contract. And we said it's going to be a huge reversal. So 2 weeks ago, we were telling our people, hey, just step away from the market, take some profit. It's going to come down, and we're going to be able to get in at a really good price. And that's exactly what happened. And it was up 25%, Paul. And some of the coins are up 77% in 2 days. And that's the power of the cryptocurrencies. The market is moving what they call purely. It doesn't have all these fingers in the pie like New York likes to do to everything else that's out there. So there's not as many parasites in the middle of the transaction to screw you up. It trades very purely to what they call technical indicators. And we have those indicators and those algorithms, and we just tell people, hey, it's telling you to sell. You're going to either hold through it or you sell or take some off the table. And then when it gets to the buy price, you buy again. And that's what I did. Yesterday, we went shopping and we bought. And now it's pushed up 25%. We're waiting to see if it's going to push through higher or if it's going to settle again. And we just advise, our subscribers as to what we're seeing and, help them make good, prudent decisions. And I think that ties back to, your prayer is that, God wants us to be Bereans, right? So, you don't take things on blind faith and you don't act stupidly.
Right.
And so be a Berean, understand what you're doing, and that gets rewarded, your knowledge and your diligence. I always say, I think I tell you sometimes when we talk is, you want to be an ant, not a grasshopper, and you want to be diligent, work hard, and that always gets rewarded, regardless of the situation.
Amen. That's exactly right. And so, I think I understand a little bit there. The Bitcoin, yes, it settled. It came down to about 9,400. So it became a buyer's market. It was time for people to jump in. And if they were going to buy, that was their moment. And because if it had already been to 19,000, odds are it's not going to stay at 9,400. It's going to come back up somewhere in at least the mid-teens in the not too near distant future. So is it almost like day trading? It's not day trading, but is it almost like day trading when it comes to cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, we call it swing trading. And one thing people have to bear in mind, the reason why people are attracted to the cryptocurrencies in the first place is because they lack trust in currencies, and they lack trust in their governments, and they lack trust in corporations. And I only have to give you one example that should just set this to rest forever. The people of Venezuela, this morning, I just read, their currency has fallen by 220,000%.
What?
Because their currency collapsed. Because they created a resource-rich world, Paul. There's no excuse for that country not being a first world country. But when you have greedy government officials, that will spend your future into oblivion, those people that had Bitcoin, and have Bitcoin or Litecoin or any of the cryptocurrencies, they preserved their wealth. The people that had their money in the banks are gone.
Yeah.
The people that had their money in currency is gone. And that's what's happening. And it's going to roll out more and more and more. Look, the dollar has fallen for 3 straight months. And the dollar's at a point now where if it gets a bump here, it rolls over, Paul. You're talking 15 to 18% decline in the dollar purchasing power. I don't think families can absorb a 20% increase in their expenses.
No.
And I highly doubt companies are going to raise your wages by 20% to compensate it, because they're not going to be making any money either. And that's all because the governments refuse to operate in a responsible fashion, because they're playing to the crowd. They only care about votes and their elite sponsors who get them reelected.
Well, what about
so that's why Bitcoin is so important to us because it's not going to matter. These wiggle. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin crashing to 40,000 when it was at 100,000. It's going to move that much.
I knew you was going to bring that up. I was interviewing Charles from Noble Gold yesterday, and I said, I guarantee you Bob's going to help me understand that if this thing got to 19,000 at one point, don't worry about 9,000. There's a day coming it's going to hit 45 or 50,000, and you'll forget about these days. And I think that's some of the long-term investors. That's what they're going to do. They're going to sit back and they're going to let it play out. Where some people are going to do a little bit more swing trading, as you just said. Bob, you've got some deals to help people understand how to both for cryptocurrency trading. You've got a advanced package. Can you tell us a little bit about your winter packages?
Yeah, so just go to TradeGeniusAcademy.com and there's a section there called the Winter Specials, and then we just have a variety of packages depending on what folks are looking to get out of trading. Is there's subscriptions to the cryptocurrency trading room and the signals. There's a subscription to the stock trading room and the signals. We have software, Paul. We don't do this in a vacuum, and we've created software that we load right onto the person's machine. As long as they're a subscriber, they have access to it, and it literally says buy, sell, long, exit. Very simple to read and understand, and that way they can follow things that we may not be following. And then we have a whole series of training courses to help people understand trading stocks, commodities, binary options, cryptocurrencies, futures, the whole gamut. And then also a lot of people take advantage of what we call personal coaching, where you can actually have somebody on our staff teach you one-on-one how to trade either cryptocurrencies or the stock market or the futures market. So we're off to a really good start. Even though the cryptocurrencies had the first 2 weeks they were moving down a little bit, we're doing just fine. And one thing too is somebody asked me the other day, so what's different between you and a lot of these other guys out there is that we're really sober guys. We've been trading between the both of us. We have over 50 years of trading experience.
Wow.
So we're not kids out there running around. My partner started trading cryptocurrencies in 2011. He was mining them. Nobody knows the cryptocurrency market better than he does. And we've created algorithms, mathematical constructs to help us guide us as to should we be buying here, should we be selling here. So it's not seeds in the pants kind of stuff. We're very sober-minded people, as you know. We've been doing this together for a while. You've met me.
Yep.
So we're not these guys screaming on the internet about got to chase this, got to chase that. Look, we're doing this to make money and to protect our families, and we want to impart that knowledge, and we want other people to make money too. We consider ourselves white hat guys. So I really encourage your folks to check us out. There's very little time in your life, where you can make as much money as fast as you can in this cryptocurrency revolution. We had Internet 1.0, 2.0. This is Internet 3.0. And this thing's going to run for a couple years, regardless of what Jamie Dimon and the bankers want to tell you.
Now, here's a question for you, and that's great that you brought up Jamie Dimon. We'll get to him in a minute. I got a brother-in-law that really studies Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and he really understands it. And he came over during the holidays, and he's talked to me about it. And he says, I really would like to get into mining Bitcoin. And I said, I need to ask Bob, because I think he is just like a lot of folks out there listening. There's a machine, I understand, that you can buy to actually mine the Bitcoin. In other words, you're producing it. Can you give us a layman's understanding of how to mine Bitcoins? Is that something you can teach?
Yeah, I'll explain what it is. It's, they're called mining rigs. They're already preloaded with the software and the right size of equipment. And then what you're doing is you're participating in an auction to solve the mathematical puzzles to be able to earn the right to create a coin or a portion of a coin. People do these rigs individually, or they join a group, and then they share the mining profits together. And what you need is not just the equipment, but it's the electricity. You gotta kind of be able to attend to the equipment. I have two friends that do mining, and they do quite well, but it's like a set and forget thing. You have to kind of mind the store, if you will. I personally haven't done it. If somebody works, they certainly can talk to my partner Phil about it, because he mined for 4 years. But the thing is about the mining, though, is that the way Bitcoin works is that it's slowly less and less coins are allowed to be created every day, and you're competing against guys like John McAfee, who has $100 million data center mining coins.
Wow!
And if they're mining those coins faster than you can mine your coins, they're going to get the coins and you're not, because there's a daily limit, and then that limit goes down over time, and by 2021 you're out of it.
So it's not.
You can make more money. You can make more money trading them than mining them.
Yeah.
Unless you really have a penchant for that kind of stuff.
So we talked about the government shutdown, which if this happens, I think it's going to affect the market's going to feel some pain with the higher interest rates, it looks like. And but do you think we're going to have a government shutdown over this DACA and the wall? I mean, it's coming down to DACA and the wall, right? Sounds like it's simple to me. Everybody wants DACA, basically. 91%, I guess, is the polls on that. So Trump says, okay, well, let's do DACA, and I'll give it to you. You just let me build the wall, fund the wall. What is so hard about this?
Well, because I think that the Democrats think they have a winning issue here, but they don't. I mean, I guarantee you, if somebody says I'll give you DACA, or I won't give you your Social Security payment, you'll see how fast DACA goes over the fence. And Trump's not shutting the government down. The Democrats are this time.
I know.
I think all that will fold. And look, the people want the wall. I live in Southern California. We're pretty mixed race out here, and I would say, other than people who are pretty politically active, even people of Hispanic and certainly African American extent, and they're in my circle, are like, build a damn wall. They like, we don't want these people here.
Well,
and and I have relatives who are from Ensenada, and they won't even go back to Mexico. So they don't want that here. I think it's a pig in a poke. The Republicans are stupid because they don't know how to frame these issues correctly, and they make it sound like we're just throwing people over the fence to die, and the people don't really truly understand what's going on with that. But
so there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of
who wants to throw people out of the country?
Nobody.
That's a red herring.
Right. Nobody does. Right. Well, so the government shutdown, there's a deadline coming, and they either got to do a continuation of what they haven't passed a budget, folks. I can't remember when, 2005? I don't even know when the last time an actual
Before
budget.
Obama. They never do. It's not,
It's before Obama. I think it was 2005. It was under George Bush. And so they can't pass a budget. They just keep rubber stamping the one they got. Well, the one they got is putting us with $21 trillion in debt. So at some point we have to grow up and put a budget together and pass it and stick to it. I mean, at some point you can't run your business that way. You can't run your household that way, right, Bob?
Yeah, I think what happens is, and I tell my family this all the time, things don't matter till they matter. So they're happy to keep pushing this down until they hit a hard wall, and it's how they react to that hard wall. Pardon the pun. That's going to make a difference. Is that it's really not hurt anybody. Hey, we'll pass another continuing resolution. We'll bump the budget up another 5%, and we'll go happily on our way.
You know, I got comments.
But
There's
happening around the world, Paul, and and I think they have prophetic meaning too with China.
right. Well, there's people
China.
There's people in the chat room right now, Bob. They're saying, like Hector Norris says, "Look, I'm Puerto Rican here, and I want a wall." And we've got Karen Long. She just said, "Look, the wall was built in the biblical times in Daniel during troublesome times. So walls are good. I mean, God said, build a wall around Jerusalem, protect, you got to protect the home base. So if we don't have, look at Venezuela. You brought up Venezuela. The reason Venezuela's economy is crashing and the reason their money is worthless is because when Hugo Chavez got in charge, he took a thriving economy and democracy and turned it into his own banana republic, his own communistic greed. He's destroyed, well, he's dead now, but he's destroyed that country. And that's what you're saying. You have to have government and you have to have consistency and security in some ways to have so your markets can be strong.
Yeah, and you have to, there's a balance between your fellow man and personal responsibility. And, it's just really interesting how, certain parts of the world, tend to raise dictators up, and certain parts of the world tend to raise republics up. And my fear is that, certain parties in our country to dictate to us. And I think that's the war we're having right now in this country.
Tell us a little bit now, if the government shut down, in my opinion, I don't think they'll shut it down. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, not going to happen. They're just going to posture and they'll thread the needle on something and we'll move on.
What about retail? I have to ask you.
The bigger issue is what's that?
Retail, because 5,000 retail stores closed last year in America. Already, Sam Club has closed 63. Sears has just announced they're closing 103. Yet online sales is at an all-time high. So how does this balance do you see going forward?
I think part of it is, well, there's three things happening. People have less money to spend. Older people, our country's getting older, just simply spend less, other than just what I call daily living. And we're having a, you don't have to go to the store. I think for Christmas this year, I'm the only one that went out to the store only because I like the process. My wife and my daughter just, we agreed on budgets, and I said, just go buy yourself what you want to buy. And they just went online and the stuff rolled in, and they never left the house. And they didn't go to the mall. They didn't go to the stores. I'm the only one that went out to the mall, went out to the store because, maybe I'm a Luddite, but I'm an experiential person. I like to see things and be social. And so I think that's part of it too. Sam's Club is interesting, Paul, because I think it's going to cause Amazon some grief. They're closing those Sam Clubs and they're turning them into distribution centers. They're going to go, Walmart's going head to head with Amazon. So it's going to be a war of the titans there, between those two companies. But a lot of the stores, how many do you need, right? I think it's, where I live, there's 4 malls within 6 miles. We don't need 4 of them.
Right. Well, and you hit the nail on the head about Walmart. They realize if they just tried to remain a brick and mortar retail outlet, Amazon was going to absolutely mop the floor with them. And so they had to make a decision to shift and to start competing and making sure they can make the deliveries on time to the people's homes and really get in the game and compete against Amazon. And so it's going to that can only help the consumer. I mean, with that kind of competition, it can only help the consumer. But the jobs, here's something to look at. 1973, just announced today. We haven't had this low of unemployment since 1973. And, you know, the pay wages are going up a little. The tax break has come in now. I mean, shouldn't there be an explosion of growth in this nation?
Well, yeah, I think it's happening. I think, Paul, they're calling 3.6% GDP growth. The problem is that what's the growth less the debt? And that's what, you know, people don't get their arms around, where it takes almost as much government debt to create the growth as it is the growth itself. So, you know, there's always this hope, and I don't want to sound like a Cassandra here, so I'm a very optimistic person. I just want people to understand it's that it's not growth for growth's sake. See, the government wants growth because it'll drive up their tax revenue. Eventually, they get paid.
Exactly.
More things, but the cost of entitlements are moving up national. The thing is, it's, you know, you just have to keep running. It's like, you know, it's like the coyote and the roadrunner. The coyote, he's off the cliff and he's spinning his wheels as fast as he can because the alternative is not pleasant. But eventually, math wins, and so we'll slip back into recessions. You know, at some point here in the next 4 or 5 years, they're going to either inflate away government debt, or that they're going to have to just default on it, and they're going to inflate it away, and that just means more of what we have. You know, somebody also said to me, Paul, in 1973, you can live the same lifestyle with only one person working. So today it takes two people and them fully in debt to be able to pay the same bills as a one-person household working did in 1973. So if they inflate away again this time, something will have to give. Either the price of living has to fall, like housing and rent and health care, or you know, something magical has to happen, and I don't believe in magic.
No. Wow, what a great point. Folks, this is Bob Kudla with us right now from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Check out his website. And like Bob, again, you've got winter specials going. So in other words, if a person wanted to start to diversify their 401k, or if they wanted to get involved in buying some stock, they come to you. You will begin to teach them. Can you walk us through that? I mean, this is where folks can show up that don't know anything about it, have never done it in their life. You can walk them through this, can't you?
Yeah, what we do, you know, Paul, is that we follow, like, you know, basically the top 15 or 20 ETFs out there, and 5 or 10 what we call very tradable stocks, and then we follow the cryptocurrencies. And we just apply our algorithms to it, and you know, just get people to start make some money, taking some profit, making a bigger trade next time, taking some profit, and grow your portfolio. And the same with the cryptocurrencies, the same way. We can teach you through the classes. You join the trading rooms. You get the trade signals. You get the software. Then you can actually see for yourself that here's a buy signal and a sell signal, and start seeing how that looks visually. And, you know, in a short period of time, you become a very confident trader, and then you're with a community of like-minded people that all want to win and make money.
Folks, I met Bob. I had lunch with him out in California a couple of years ago, and I liked him right away. I could tell he was a straight shooter, and I could tell he was a very compassionate man who cares about your family, cares about where you're going, and is willing to work with people, be patient with people to help them understand. And his training is to get folks to get involved, and you can get your toes in the water. You don't have to jump in over your head. Just get your toes in the water and begin to understand how the markets are working. And again, I will say, folks, if you trust in the Lord, you know, the Bible tells you, lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge the Lord. He will direct your path. And part of that direction is finding the right people to learn from. And so, Bob, I mean, your website, very simple, very easy. You can get people started right away, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. points. There's always a bull market somewhere. Even the Great Depression, there was a bull market. It was the gold and silver miners. So there's always a bull market somewhere. So, no matter what the conditions are, there's always a place where you're going to be able to make money. And number two is that now there are mechanisms where with just a couple $100, you can actually get started, Paul. And today we did a trade where you invested $2,600, it returned $2,000 in the futures market. So we show you all these different ways in which you can make money, and you can start off very, very, very small and build your portfolio. We don't have to have big portfolios to start making real money.
Bob, this has been very, very informative, very educational, and I think a lot of folks were in here watching this live. And I was reading some of their comments as you were going, and they were really with you here. They were really understanding and very educational, and responses were great. I think folks just check out his website again at www.tradegeniusacademy.com and let Bob Kudla help you along in your endeavors, whether it be cryptocurrencies, whether it be trading in the stock market. He can help teach you along the way. Bob, I really appreciate you being with us today. This has been very, very informative.
Yeah, Paul, I really appreciate the time, and look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. God bless.
All right.